nation. Hebrew kingdom building.
All right, so this Torah portion was Torah portion Noach. This is one of my favorite Torah portions as well. It goes through Bereshit 6, verse, I believe, 8, verse 9. Then it goes through chapter 11, all the way through the end. Yeah, so, we're going to be Bereshit fast. Next week we're going into the Abraham. But Torah portion Noah is very significant. Very. I want to talk to y'all about a principle. It's the principle of like regeneration. All right, we got Bakir Aloof back. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thrilled to be back. See y'all smiling faces one more again. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Bakir Aloof is in here. So let's go to Matthew or the book of Matthew, chapter 16. And we'll start with verse 13, everybody, though. All right, let's do it. Matthew 16 or Matthew. If you have a 7, chapter 16, verse 13, let's go.
When Yahushua came into the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, "Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?"
Now, isn't this interesting? This is an interesting question. Because Yahushua, he go to his disciples, and he asks them, man, who do the men say that I, the Son of Man, am? So remember, the disciples, they in tune with the streets. They was out there. They know the people. They be out there. They be outside. You know what I'm saying? They in tune with the streets. You know, Kepha, he was a fisherman. You know, they was out there and they knew what the word on the streets were. You see what I'm saying? So Yahushua's like, yeah, let me what the people saying. What the people say that I, the Son of Man, am. Let's see what they say. Verse 16.
So they said, some say John the Baptist, some Elijah, and others Jeremiah.
So hold on, think about this. Let's say it again one more time. See what they say. This is what the people are saying. Who are the people? The Israelites in Jerusalem, in Israel. Now remember, this is Yahushua walking around in the first century, okay? Who did they say he was? Read verse 14 again.
So they said, some say John the Baptist.
Some say Yochanan the Immerser. And at this time, remember, Yochanan the Immerser was beheaded. Remember, Yochanan the Immerser was beheaded. But they're like, Yahushua is him. This is what the people are saying. These are Israelites. These are ancient Israelites from the first century. This was their mindset. What else do they say? What does some say?
Some Elijah.
Elijah, y'all, was around back in I don't know, 600 BC, maybe further back than that. 700 BC or something? This is the first century. This is like 1,000 years later, about 700, 800 years later or so. And they like, man, people saying, you Elijah. How? What? We missing something as far as how how ancient Israelites thought. We need to understand the concept of the sons of light and regeneration. Because how in the world would they even think someone who passed away 1,000 years ago, 800 years ago or so, was Yahusha, or Yahusha was him? Keep going.
And others, Jeremiah, are one of the prophets.
What? Jeremiah, who passed away around 600 so B7, 600 BC or so, around the time of the Babylonian captivity. So this was, we're talking 600, 500, 600 years ago. But they're like, oh man, this is Jeremiah. Did Yahusha say it? Oh no, they moving in the ways of Hasatan by thinking like that. Okay, keep going.
Verse 16. Simon Peter answered and said, verse 15. He said to them, but who do you say that I am? Simon Peter answered and said, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim. Yahushua answered and said to him, blessed are you, Simon Barjona, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in the Shamaim.
All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. I think we get it. I think we get the point. Let's go to Matthew chapter 11. So keep this in mind, that Yahusha, the people in Yasharel thought he was Elijah. Some thought he was John the Baptist, who was beheaded maybe a year or 2, 3 years before that. And then some thought he was Yirmiyahu, or one of the prophets, y'all. How, Sway? How? There's something that we just didn't have, that we wasn't taught in the church, that the ancient Israelites had an understanding on, y'all. Matthew chapter 11, let's go to verse. Matthew chapter 11. We'll start with verse 11.
Okay, verse 11. Assuredly, I say to you, among those born of women, there has not risen one greater than Yahuchanan the Baptist. But he who is least in the kingdom of the Shamaim is greater than he.
So this is Yahusha giving props to Yachanan the Immerser, John the Baptist. That was his cousin. Verse 12.
And from the days of Yachanan the Baptist until now, the kingdom of the Shamaim suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until Yahuchanan. And if you are willing to receive it, he is Elijah.
He is who?
Elijah.
What?
That's what he said.
There's something here that we need to understand, Ms. Spock, a principle that's taught in the scriptures that we don't really look at like that. There are these people that been moving all throughout history, y'all. They come in and out during different times in history. They're called the sons of light, they're eternal beings. And I'll submit, our ancestors understood this. That's why even though Elijah passed away, maybe 700, 800 years before that passage in Matthew, they were like, oh man, I think this is Elijah. Yeah, that's who that is. That's Elijah. They weren't really tripping for thinking that, because Yahushua came on the earth and he was doing a lot of the same things like Elijah was doing. Elisha was doing. He was doing a lot of the same things. If you look at Elijah and the things he did, he like raised the dead one time. He healed people. These are the things that prophets did. It makes sense if you have the understanding they have surrounding regeneration. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to Ezekiel 37. Yeah, I know this, but we're gonna go there anyway, just to drive it home. That's all. Ezekiel 37. And we're going to go to verse 24. Well, let's start with verse 23. Ezekiel 37 is about the 2 sticks prophecy, okay? Everybody there? Everybody there? Okay.
They shall not defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will deliver them from all their dwelling places in which they have sinned, and will cleanse them. Then they shall be my people, and I will be their Eluah. Dawid, my servant, shall be king over them.
Who?
Dawid.
Keep going. Read it. Dawid who? Keep going. Who?
Dawid, my servant, shall be king over them, and they shall all have one shepherd.
Okay, just stop there. Okay, just stop there. Okay, because this is Ezekiel during the Babylonian captivity, and King David had passed away maybe several hundred years before this. But then there's this prophecy saying that Dawid is going to be the king over these people who, this is the 2 sticks prophecy. For time, we didn't go through the whole chapter, but if you read it, it's about the 2 sticks coming back together. The northern and southern kingdom, it'll be one nation again. It'll be in Akkad. And he's saying, what this prophecy is saying is that David will be king over this people. This is actually an end time prophecy. This prophecy still hasn't been fulfilled yet. And the prophecy is stating that King David will be king over them. How do you reconcile it? How do you deal with that? You see what I'm saying? This is a prophecy from Yahuwah, y'all. Saying this end time people, when the 2 sticks come together, King David will be leading, the leader over this people. But it makes sense when you understand that King David was a son of light. He's an eternal being who enters into the Eretz at different times in history. He's an eternal being, y'all. So remember I talked about the concept of fallen angels, right? A fallen angel was someone who once had access to the Shamayim, and they received the things of the Shamayim, and they have an understanding of the Shamayim, but they rebelled and ended up being kicked out. That's what we read in this Torah portion in Genesis 6. That's what happened. You had these fallen ones who came down and laid with the daughters of men, and they were fallen ones. They were people who had access to the Shamayim, but then they rebelled. Oh, man, I'm going to do that. Yeah, that's irritating right now. That's just new television. All right. No, but it's a different one. Let's go to Genesis 6. And let's start with verse 1. Let's go.
Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of Elua saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful. They took wives for themselves.
So that word beautiful, they really don't say that. It really says that they were thub. They were tob, a thub. Keep going.
They were through. They took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And Yahuwah said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the Eretz in those days, and also afterward.
So it don't really say giants. It really says Nephilim, I believe, is the Hebrew word there, which means fallen ones. They're of the fallen. And it comes from the root word nafal, which I believe it literally means like to fall, nafal. There were giants on the earth in those days, and keep going.
And also afterward.
Also afterward.
When the sons of Elua came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them.
And who were those children?
Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown.
So this offspring that came from these celestial beings laying with these women, this offspring, it created this seed who ended up being the mighty men of old. These ended up being, so you can read it. All you got to do is read the tales from the other nations. Just read their mythology and things like that. It's actually lining up with the scriptures, like Hercules, Greek mythology. They talk about all those giants that they worshipped, Atlas, all that stuff like that. These were fallen ones that ended up becoming the men of renown. They ended up becoming the people that they people worshipped them. You get what I'm saying? Even when you look at like they talk about Zeus, I think it's Greek mythology as well. They talk he literally, like when you read the story, he literally I believe he was the offspring of a celestial being laying with a woman. Oh, that's Hercules too? No, I thought Zeus was too. I thought. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna know more than me on that. But the point is that that stuff was really what was going on, and those were the Elohim, those were like the Eluas of that day. That's what the people, they worshiped, and that actually was where a lot of the false worship came from, these fallen ones. They took things that they knew from the Shamaim, perverted it, and implemented it by starting their own religion, y'all. There's this concept from one of the fallen ones that they implemented on the earth called, what's it called? Where the people always been around. Reincarnation. So that's just a very perverted, twisted way from the fallen ones to try to implement what they understood in a sense. So reincarnation, though, says, in your previous life you might have been a butterfly or something like that. That's not taught in the script. That's not, you know what I'm saying? Man, he was a frog, man. Look at the way he acts. See, he was a frog in his past life. You know what I'm saying? Nah, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. But what happens is we just totally just throw every aspect of it out the window because you have these fallen ones that be teaching reincarnation, and it's so. But I submit that they probably got something. The idea, they didn't come up with that. You see what I'm saying? The idea of it, they probably got from when they had access to the Shamaim, y'all. Because as far as regeneration, people like Yahushua HaMashiach been around he been entering different times all throughout history. You know what I'm saying? I submit Elijah's the same thing. Moshe's the same. I submit the same with many of y'all. We are sons of light. We are eternal beings. See, come on, y'all. We be saying we eternal beings, and you really think this is your first time to be on the earth, but you an eternal being. Yeah. Yeah. But we be having this idea, though. I'm an eternal being. We are eternal. We all believe that. But then you don't really, but you think this is your first time being on the earth, being down here. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, we are of Yahusha, and Yahusha been here all throughout time. When Yahuwah said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Sons of light. He divided the light from the darkness. We've been around, y'all, since the beginning. We've been around. Yahuwah has known you from the foundation of the world. Remember when he told Yirmiyahu that in Yirmiyahu chapter 1? Go to Jeremiah chapter 1, the book of Yirmiyahu chapter 1. Yahuwah told Yirmiyahu, before you was in the womb, I've known you. I always known you. I believe he said, before the foundations of the world, I've known you. Think about that. Before the foundations of the world, I've known you. That means you were here since the beginning. I mean, I know you were there since the beginning. In the creation week, I said, let there be light. And man, you was there. I said, go on out there. No wonder the people in the Brit Hadashah thought Yahusha was Yirmiyahu. They had an understanding. They knew, oh, Yirmiyahu, one of the sons of light. Same thing with Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu had this vision in Bereshit chapter 6. Let's go there real fast. Let's go there, Yeshayahu chapter 6. Or Isaiah, our book of Isaiah chapter 6. Let's start with verse. For time, we'll just go to verse 8. So this is Yeshayahu. He had saw himself in the Shamaim. Go ahead and start verse 1. Go ahead. 1 through 8. Let's do it.
In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw Yahuwah sitting on a throne, high and lifted up. And the train of his robe filled the temple. Above it stood seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face. With 2 he covered his feet. And with 2 he flew.
So you see Yeshayahu, he's like in the throne room area. Verse 3.
And one cried to another and said, Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh is Yahuwah of hosts. The whole eretz is full of his glory. And the posts of the door were shaken by the voice of him who cried out. And the house was filled with smoke. So I said, woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, Yahuwah of Zavaot.
So that's how you know this is him in the throne room. Like he's like, man, I see Yahuwah. Like, man, you got the seraphim singing, holy, holy, holy. I remember you see that in the book of Revelation. You know, you got the seraphim, which was a type of a celestial being that are at the throne room. They have 6 wings, 2 to cover his eyes. Why do you think that? Because the kabod of Yahuwah is unbearable. So Yahuwah had these beings that were created to be able to handle being in the throne room before Yahuwah all the time. They had to have 6 wings, 2 of them to cover his eyes. Verse 6.
Then one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a live coal, which he had taken with the tongs from the altar, with the tongs of the altar. And he touched my mouth with it and said, behold, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is taken away and your sin purged.
All right, pay attention to verse 8.
Also, I heard the voice of Yahuwah saying, whom shall I send?
Well, hold on. This is it. He said he heard the voice, I believe, of Adon or Adoni saying,
whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Then I said, here I am, send me.
So that's why I really believe this was probably Yeshayahu getting a picture of how he ended up being on the earth during that time. Like Yahuwah showed him, man, you were something like you one of the sent ones, man. He showed him a vision of when he was in the Shamayim. And they were like, man, who will go for us to do this work? Who will go for us? And you came, it's like you was showing Yeshayahu, man, you had came and you were volunteered. You was in the Shamayim. You came, you said, I'll go, send me. And verse 9.
And he said, go and tell his people, keep on hearing, but do not understand. Keep on seeing, but do not
We can stop
perceive.
there. Basically, I'm going to have you do this tough work. You're going to be a messenger for me on the Eretz. Y'all, we've been talking about this a lot, but I'm going to reiterate it for this point. All of the Nabi'im, or prophets, were yes. All of the Nabi'im are Malakim. All of the Nabi'im are Malakim, which means messengers, or it's translated as angels in English. All of the prophets were sons of light. And all of the sons of light are Malakim, I submit to you. They're Malakim. Y'all get it? And Malakim are celestial beings who are eternal. And they go in and out, enter into the earth throughout history. Since the beginning. Okay, this is why I bring all that up, okay? Oh yeah, go ahead. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So just real quick, so man, you gotta hear this with new ears, because especially coming from a background where people have always told you that you're really not anything, hearing that you are a son of Elua, that you actually were here before, that you were Malak, out of the same Bible we were taught, that'd be hard to receive. So, but just as another reference, what Mushal was saying is in Hebrews somewhere 7, I think, it talks about Melchizedek and how he had no end or no beginning. It talks about he had no lineage. But then it says that there's an order of Melchizedek. So anything that has an order is going to be more than one person. So there's going to be other people that have no end, no beginning. Like, I hope I don't, you know. Hey, look, man, I was a nerd growing up, so y'all don't judge me. But so on Batman, there was something called the Order of Owls. I know, you know. Anyway, but that order had more than one person, even though Batman didn't know it. But there was more than one person. My point is this: like, if you look at any quote unquote order, if you one person and you calling yourself an order, you deceiving yourself. But if it's an order, it's not just one person. So this brings the question, and it's very possible, you know, it's debatable, but very possible that Melchizedek may have been, you know, one of these Malachim that, I'll leave it at that. One of these Malachim that descended and ascended according to Bereshit. Y'all remember Yaakov laid his head on the rock. He said, man, I see Malachim ascending and descending. Man. What was they ascending and descending for? If you go to 1 Chronicles, it talks about how when I forgot the northern king's name, Ahab, I'm pretty sure it was Ahab. He said Micah had this vision. He was like, Yahuwah was speaking to the Malachim, the Ruach and the Shamayim. He said, who will go and be a lying Ruach in the mouth of the prophets? Hallelujah. So this is an example of somebody that was descending and ascending. So it's, man, this thing wild, y'all. This thing wild. There was basically a prophet that was sent to Ahab to be a liar, to lie to him. Yahuwah something else. But just to Mushal's point, this is huge. And if you let this thing rest in you, it'll change the perception of who you are, your sense of significance in the earth, and why you exist. If you really let this rest on you, it'll change the way you move about life, because you know now I'm a son of light. I'm out here prophesying. I come from Yahuwah. And is it possible? Because I mean, Rebirth been talking about the order of Melchizedek for how many years? The order of the lion being the order of Melchizedek. And then Melech Yahusha get the revelation of the sons of light. So it's like this thing where the order of Melchizedek, I'll just throw this out there. Is it possible to align with Mushal? Is it possible that you were involved in that order? Where you have no beginning and no end? Where even Levi paid tithes to this order? Ties to this person, and it says that the greater blesses the lesser, or the lesser is, or as I say in Hebrews, I should go look at it. But Hebrews 7, y'all look at it. But it says something. It basically talks about how Levi was actually lesser than this Melchizedek, because Levi paid tithes to Melchizedek through the loins of Abraham. So it's a huge deal what Mushal is bringing out. It's not just information. Now this is a huge deal. This is why there are things that we'll do during worship. Y'all watch. Y'all will see pestilence happening now. That was being prophesied by either Uriah or Bethel. I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, I just wanted to stress how important what Mushal bringing out is, because this is huge.
Go ahead, Ima.
I'll make it fast. I just want to land back on what you said and what Mushal said. That not having no beginning or no end. Eternity has no beginning and has no end. And if we all be in here, we already feel like family. We know each other. And like the scripture I was going to put in, who will go for me? We all said we will. That's it. That's the same talk that me and the Imams had coming from Pesach. Okay, we was on our way to Pesach.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real, y'all. So all praise to the Most High. So keeping that in mind. All right, so let's keep all that in mind. Now we fast forward to Noach, okay? The story of Noach. So we had Adam. We had the story of Adam, right? That was in the last Torah portion. Torah portion, Bereshit. Yahuwah had gave Adam all this dominion. He had gave him this job to where he had to name the animals, but not only that, but he was supposed to have dominion over all the animals and all the and you know all the things on the earth that the Most High had set him to rule over. His name was Adam. Adam was set apart in this place called Eden, where it was three parts to it. Now, think about this, because Noah was set apart to build this ark that had three parts to it, right? Noah, in a sense, was set apart to have dominion over all the animals, because what happened? Didn't Yahuwah send all the animals to him, to Noah? 2 by 2. And according to the scriptures, Yahuwah made the animals male and female during the days of Adam. Yeah, 2 by 2. And so when Adam named the animals, how did Adam name all the animals? It had to be, it couldn't have been that Yahuwah had sent the animals to Adam 2 by 2 as well, that's so he could name them. Because
when they went on the ark, when they went on the ark, they were young animals
calm.
that had to reproduce to get the old ones out the way so it won't be none just like us.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I do believe the animals were young on the ark, because of like elephants and giraffes, some of the bigger animals, that would have been hard to get them on the ark full grown.
just, because the stuff that the older animals been through and, been tampered with and all this kind of stuff, they started with the young. Like they doing the
Yeah.
clean slate.
I mean, that could be a thing too, but either way, they most likely were young, because it would just make most sense, period, because they were put there to reproduce on the earth. So if you put old animals on there, that would be hard. Number one, they'll be too big, and then even aside from the other stuff, it'll make more sense for the purpose that they have for them to be young. You know what I'm saying? They'll be young. They'll be able to reproduce easier, et cetera, and they'll be able to fit on the ark better. But with Adam 2 by 2, you would probably have, because you would said Adam in Eden. So the thought is that Adam probably wasn't like going outside of Eden. Y'all get what I'm saying? And in order to name all the animals, if your job was to name all the animals, we just looking at it from a practical perspective, you probably would have had to go outside of Eden, unless Yahuwah sent the animals to you. See what I'm saying? Just like Noah. See what I'm saying? How did Noah get all the animals on that ark? Unless Yahuwah sent the animals to Noah. 2 by 2. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, you can have a mic. Absolutely. You said you need a mic.
I think you. I don't know why that's doing this. Oh. Hello. Okay. I don't know if y'all can hear me or not, but
You do, go ahead.
you right, because this is a scripture that says, if I remember correctly, where he sent them to him, and if the animals didn't bow down to him, they couldn't come on the ark.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's not in Torah, but Bakir, I mean, confirmed that was from Jasher. So, but hey, still just reading Torah, you can still surmise pretty close to that they had to come to him. So now it makes sense. But nevertheless, you had Adam. He was in this set apart enclosure called Eden. He had dominion over the animals. The animals came to him two by two. And then what happened was Adam had messed up, by he went on and he caved into the Isha, you know what I'm saying, and ended up sinning. Him and the Kawhi sinned. So now sin is on the earth. Things is going now. By the time, so you have this thing about the sons of light, because then you get into, I believe it's Bereshit 4. They go through this lineage, right? Y'all remember that in last week's Torah portion? They go through this lineage. They talk about Methuselah begot so-and-so, so-and-so begot so-and-so, and it goes through the lineage. It's letting you know the bloodline of this Kodesh seed. You see what I'm saying? And then it goes to, then Lamech begot Noah. So it's letting you know the lineage of Noah. That he comes from this Kodesh lineage, this Kodesh seed that started with Adam to him. That's why in Genesis 6 it says that Noah, the earth was wicked. Zamar, come here, where you going? Okay, go ahead, hurry up. But it says that Noah, he was Tamim, or he was, I think it says what, he's righteous, or he's, which is, okay, and perfect in his generations. In other words, he has a cleansed bloodline. That's why he was deemed the one to be able to make it into the ark. His bloodline was cleansed. He went through Aruka. Even though he was in Babylon, he was in the world that was wicked and all that, it was something. He was preserved because he was perfect. His bloodline was cleansed. It wasn't corrupted. So Yahuwah wanted to start all over with Noah. Y'all know that Yahuwah wanted to start all over with Adam and Kawah? Adam and Kawah were supposed to be the people that he established to start all over with. He said to be fruitful and to multiply, have dominion, and fill the earth, basically, and subdue the earth. Adam and Kawah was set apart to produce this Kodesh seed. They had some righteous, some wicked. You can read the lineage from Adam and Kawah. You saw some people, they were wicked, some people were righteous, things like that. Then it got down to Noah. And it's like Noah was through. He was perfect in his generations. Yahuwah was like, I'm going to destroy everybody else. I'm going to start all over with you, Noah. So you can get on, build this ark. You go in there, you and Ham, Shem, and Japheth, you and your children. I'm going to start all over with you. Make this ark. He said to kafar it inside and outside with pitch. Kafar, atonement, to be covered. It's showing that those in the ark are covered. They're atoned for. Remember, kapar is about receiving a word from the heads. Noah was really able to receive a word because that was a hard word. Hey, I need you to build this ark. This is going to be a lifetime worth of work. Because I'm going to judge the earth. I'm going to destroy everything on the earth. And I'm going to cause it to rain. It never even rained on the earth yet. So he had got this word, but he received it and he heeded it. So that showed him that that proved he was covered. He was kafar, because he was able to receive a word from Yahuwah and move on it. So he built this ark, and y'all know, if y'all ever look at the Sunday school stories growing up, it was this, I know it don't say that actually in the scriptures, but when you read the Sunday school stories at least, of Noah, it was always the story of him building this ark and everybody's making fun of him. Ha, 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 what are you doing that for? Ah, you dumb, look at him building this dumb ark. And it was like this whole picture of everybody making fun of him while he was just doing it. And then when the rain came, it was like Let me get in, you know. You don't see that in the Torah. So it ain't in the scriptures at all. But it makes sense. That's probably similar to how it really was, though. I understand why they put it there in them stories like that. Because that probably was similar to how it really was. Read Genesis 6, verse 9.
This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations.
So just, that's probably Tom or Tamim, which means without spot or blemish. Perfect in his generations. His bloodline was cleansed. Now y'all see how significant it is? That means we'll be deemed worthy to be covered, y'all, to make it and to be in the ark, y'all. Because we have the ability to produce Kodesh seed. Only those who are perfect in their generations, in other words, have a cleansed bloodline, have the ability to produce Kodesh seed. So Yahuwah was like, yeah, I want you to really be fruitful and multiply. I'm going to use you to produce all this Kodesh seed, and I'm going to replenish the whole earth with you. Why? Remember what I said about the Eretz. It was never meant for wickedness to be on the Eretz. The Eretz was always set apart for the Kodeshim. The breakdown for Eretz is the strong leader and his head's stronghold. It's a stronghold for Yahuwah and his heads. It was supposed to only be for Yahuwah and his people. It wasn't supposed to be for nothing else or nobody else. The Eretz was never designed to be for any wicked, for nothing that was wicked. When Yahuwah caused the dry land to appear, the dry land was set apart for the Kodeshim to live on. That's why when the dry land appeared, he went on and established, and he put man and beast, and he put Adam and Kawah on the earth. And wanted them to be fruitful and to multiply. They were set apart for Yahuwah. They were his heads. Adam had a priestly role. Adam was one of the Roshim of Yahuwah. You see what I'm saying? That's what the Eretz was designed for. But what happened is that wickedness got into the earth because these fallen ones laid and it produced this opposite of Kodesh seed. They produced this wicked seed that corrupted the Eretz. Now y'all see why Yahuwah was like, okay, I'm going to destroy everybody. The earth was never designed to have nothing wicked on there in the first place. So yeah, Yahuwah was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and destroy everything, and I'm going to start all over with this. There's still this one family left who are mine, who come from the bloodline of Adam, that the bloodline has not been corrupted. When you go to go to chapter 5. Start with verse 22. This is the whole genealogy starting with Adam. We're not going to read the whole thing, but let's start with verse 22. Start with verse 21.
Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. After he begot Methuselah, Enoch walked with the Lord 300 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with the Lord, and he was not, for the Lord took him. Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. After he begot Melech, Methuselah lived 782 years, and he had sons and daughters.
You see how old these people live? Verse 27.
So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Lamech lived 182 years and had a son.
So this is the blood. This is the lineage being laid out of these Kodesh people. This is this Kodesh bloodline. Y'all listen. There were all kind of other bloodlines on the earth, but there's a reason why the scriptures was honing in on this specific lineage. Keep going, verse 29.
And he called his name Noah, saying, "This one will comfort us concerning our work in the toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahuwah has cursed." After he begot
We can
Noah.
stop there. Go to verse 32. Skip to verse 32 and read that.
And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
All right. All right. So you had this lineage, this bloodline, from Adam all the way to Noah. And then Noah was brought forth. Okay, I almost lost my point. I just came back. The flood, I submit the flood didn't come. Yahuwah, these were all people with Kodesh lineage. These were all people in this lineage who were perfect in their generations. This is why Noah was deemed Thub to make it on the ark. But how come only Noah made it on the ark? They had all passed away. How old was Noah when the flood started? It wasn't until he was like 600 years old. Y'all see what I'm saying? So the Most High waited until all the righteous people passed away first. To the older generation, waited till the older generation passed away first before starting that next level and flooding the earth and getting that ark going with Noah. Yes. That's probably why Methuselah lived so long. I got to look at it again. I believe Methuselah might have been probably the last one before the flood came. But the flood did not come until Methuselah died. It did not come. There are certain things the Most High won't do on the earth until I shouldn't say it like that. Let me word it like this. There are elders who there's certain things he's not going to do on the earth until they pass away. Even when in the wilderness, the Most High wasn't going to allow them to move on to the next level until this certain generation passed away first. No, it wasn't like he was going to kill them or nothing like that. No, but he had to let them pass away first. You see what I'm saying? Even Moshe. Moshe was the last one. They wasn't going to make it until he passed away. He passed away at like 120. Then it was time to go into the promised land. So Noah was this new leader. He was this new priest. He was carved out from the lineage of Adam to basically be the new Adam. Noah wasn't the first person to be the only family on the earth to have to start all over with. Wasn't that in the sense? I know that's debatable, but wasn't that generally speaking at least understood Adam and Kawah? Yeah. That wasn't the first time that happened. The earth was tohu wabohu. Earth was without form and void. It was, and the face of the deep was on the, remember Genesis 1, it said, Something about the face of the deep was on. Darkness was over the face of the deep. That means the earth was covered with water. So when Yahuwah made the flood in the days of Noah, that wasn't the first time the earth was flooded. Right? Remember in the creation week, he had to do things and separate the waters to cause the dry land to appear. The earth was covered in water at first. Right? So that wasn't the first time during Noah's flood that the earth was flooded. When the earth was without form and void, it was flooded. The Most High had to to put things in order, he had to do a whole creation week of work. Like, man, let there be light. Let's divide the waters from the waters. Let's create the rakia, the firmament, to divide the waters from above, from the waters below. Then he said, we're going to gather the waters below with the waters, and then to cause dry land to appear. That's what. Before that, everything was still covered in water. So what happened was because wickedness was on the Eretz, and who knows, the Most High might have been like, man, I caused dry land to appear for the Kodashim to be on there. Now the wickedness that took over. Oh, you know what? I'm finna revert this back to how it was. Yep. Because it said the waters shot up from the face of the deep, meaning from the bottom, and rain came from the Shamayim. In other words, it's he closed the firmament back up. Remember, Yahuwah used the firmament to separate the waters from above from the waters below, but now waters are shooting up from below and above, closing up the firmament back up. To where it's all just water. Everything's being reset. Everything's being reverted. Then 150 days. And if you look in the Hebrew, that's Hamashim Meah. Hamashim, that's 50. I know when we look at it in the English, we just think it's 150, one number, one word. But in the Hebrew, that's not how it's worded. It's Meah, 100, and then the number 50. Hamashim, which is about the man. Oh, Hamashim, which is about what? Oh, that's Stu. That's a great answer. It was something else I was looking for, though. And Hebraically, Hamashim is about the what? Hallelujah. Because the word Shamayim is in Hamashim, the number 50. If you look at the Hebrew word Hamashim, you'll see literally Shamayim in there. The only difference is the het. It's the het, cha, and then mashim, which if you just switch the direction, the order, is Shamayim in there. So it's like the gate, the het to the Shamayim, number 50, the Jubilee. It's like the gates to the Shamayim. You get what I'm saying? And so 150 days later, which I submit, it's about the regather. It's like Jubilee. The waters, that's when the flood started. I believe the water started receding. And then you know what happened? It said that all of a sudden dry land started to appear. That sounds like the creation week. Yeah. Dry land appeared. You had this whole story about the dove and the raven. The raven was going to and fro. To and fro, but do y'all notice the raven didn't come back? This is real nice when everybody read the Torah portion. We don't even got, I can just talk about it and y'all get it. This is awesome. This is stupid, man. The raven didn't come back. But when he sent the dove out the first time, the dove came back. I submit the raven didn't come back because it was content hanging out with the dead. It was content, but it said that the dove didn't have nowhere to rest his feet. It came back, and it said that Noah took it and brought it back into the ark. The dove wasn't content to be around the dead. You know, ravens, they'll be all over the dead bodies. They'll be picking at it, eating it. They'll have a great time. For real, because how was the raven able to just go to and fro without going back to the ark when the land was, when everything was still covered with water? Then the dry land appeared, and you had Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth starting all over, replenishing the earth. Okay? Noah was another Adam, y'all. Y'all listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Noah is Adam. Yeah. Yeah, for real. Yahuwah started all over with Noah. Okay, then Noah is replenishing the earth, because you know that, because down after the flood, it goes straight to the Tower of Babel. No. It goes straight to the table of nations. The 70 nations, the people of Shem, the people of Ham, the people of Japheth. You know what I'm saying? It goes through all these different nations. But I want y'all to look at this and we'll wrap it up here. It's chapter 8. Let's start with this. The Hebrew word for flood is Mabul. Mabul, H3999, easy to remember. Mabul. Anybody want to take a shot of this breakdown? It's a mem, bet, uwa, lamed. A mem, bet, uwa, lamed. Anybody want to take a shot at it? We maybe take one person. All right, we got Shema in the back. Let's get one of the young ox to get her a mic. Oh, there you go. Oh, that mic show ain't on.
Okay. Pressing the house that's secure to the shepherd.
So that's the mem. I guess you could say that though. Yeah, like chaos.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not a sheen though. That's a mem.
Oh, okay. Ma'am.
Okay. You gonna give it a shot? Okay, we got Ima Oria.
A people secure to the house by the shepherd.
That's due. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, you gonna do it one more time? Okay, and then we're gonna do Zamar. That's the last one.
No, Shishon just said, she said what I was going to say.
Oh, go ahead, Shishon. Go ahead. What you got?
I didn't volunteer.
Shema volunteered you.
Washing. Yeah, just praise Yahuwah.
Okay, we'll finish it off, Shema.
Oh, I think you might have misunderstood me. I was saying that Shoshone had said that Ima Oriah said what I was getting ready to say, because I had said
Oh, okay.
washing the house that's secure to the shepherd.
Oh, okay. Okay. Washing the house that's secure to the shepherd. Okay, let's get Zamar. My bad, misunderstanding. Okay, we'll get you. You had your hand up? Okay, you'll be the last one. We got you.
What I got was the blood being secured to the house to the gatherer.
Okay. All right. All right, your turn.
The people inside the house being secured by the shepherd. Did they already say
That's
that?
nice. That's a nice one. All right. One more. That's all right. Who else had it? Who else? Ema? We'll let the Ema go.
Yes, sir.
Let the Ema go.
The nations secured to the house by the shepherd.
Okay. I see that. I can see that. Those are not bad. Those are not bad answers. So what I have is it's about the nations. The mem could mean the multitudes, the nations. It's about the nations overtaking a house that's secured to a shepherd. Remember, it's flood. It's a flood. So it's about the nations overtaking a house that's secured to the shepherd. You know, or waters. You know, the mem is like the waters, the seas. And it's about the waters overtaking a house, which are the nations, overtaking a house that's secured to a shepherd. Remember, like Yahusha was talking about when you read about the flood in the scriptures is referring to an invasion. That's basically the flood. Because what the flood is, I submit a flood is basically the marine kingdom trying to overtake the earth. The nations represent the seas, the waters, because they are joined to the marine kingdom. You see what I'm saying? So when the other nations go on to say they overtake Jerusalem or they overtake the Israel, that's a flood. Because they're not supposed to even be on the Eretz. These are people of the seas on the Eretz. That's a flood, right? When the seas end up being somewhere they ain't supposed to be, that's a flood. That's going to be a problem. That's going to cause damage. And you have these people who are joined to the seas, which is the marine kingdom, overtaking the land. That's the flood. That's why the scriptures, when they talk about a flood, is usually, a lot of times I would say, I don't know if it's usually, but a lot of times it's referring to some sort of invasion. That's why it's interesting that when Yahusha said to Kepha, the gates of Sheol shall not be able to prevail against this assembly, against this house. All right. All praise to the Most High. All right, chapter 8, let's look at this. Let's go down to verse. Maybe it's chapter 9. All right, chapter 9, verse 25. Let's do it. And look what Noah did.
Everybody there. Then he said, "Cursed be Canaan."
So Noah proclaimed a curse on somebody. That's a roar. That's a roar. We talked about that. Aleph, Resh, Resh. It's about the strong leader and his two heads. It's about Yahuwah and the two chiefs. Yahuwah and the two heads. The way to get out of the curses is through Yahuwah and his two heads. The way to be caught up in the curses is if you go against Yahuwah or you go against his two heads, the two chiefs. Y'all see what I'm saying? It's Aleph, Resh, Resh, or Ra. Surrounds around Yahuwah and his two heads. Noah, he proclaimed a curse on Canaan, which was his grandson. He said, "Cursed be Canaan." Keep going.
A servant of servants he shall be to his brethren. And he said, "Blessed be Yahuwah, the allure of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May Allure enlarge Japhet, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant." And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died.
Well, Noah had a long life. But Noah, he was definitely one of Yahuwah's head because he had the ability to bless and curse. That's a big deal. When bless, Barak, H1288. H1288, and it's about the head of the house, who is the wall. Noah proclaimed a blessing on Shem. Y'all see that? He said, "Blessed be Shem, blessed be the Allure, Yahuwah Allure of Shem. May Canaan be his servant." It was something like that. He proclaimed a blessing over Shem, a curse over Canaan, and a blessing over Japheth. This is what the heads of houses do. You get it? Barak or Baruch. Blessings come from the heads of the house. The blessings come from the chiefs, the heads of household. You've seen this all throughout the scriptures. Yeah, I remember a couple of Torah portions ago, the last Torah portion, one of the last Torah portions of the Torah, Moshe proclaimed blessings upon the tribes. Why? Because he was the head, right? That's what I'm saying, y'all. Like everything surrounds around being submitted to the heads, being able to receive the words. That's where the blessings come from. You want your heads to bless you in their prayers, to think of you when they're going before the Most High. Most of the things a lot of the things ruachally that a lot of y'all received knowingly and unknowingly came from the blessings of your heads that you are submitted to. Hebraically, that's where the blessings come from. The heads of the house, who is the wall. Now I know that's like, okay, huh? But man, it was interesting, man. Shoshone had a vision where there was a face in the wall. You remember that? There was a head in the wall. And a man was talking, was speaking. Those were blessings. He was speaking in tongues. Those were blessings. He was actually blessing the tribe. He was blessing the tribe. He was speaking blessings. It was the picture. The man whose face was in the wall was this was the picture of Barak. It comes from the head of the house, who is the wall.
Can that wall be covered?
The wall be covered? What do you mean by that? Oh, can the wall be the covering, you saying? Oh yeah, most definitely. It's about being in the gates, being in the wall. Revelation 21, verse 14, it says, the wall of the city, oh my bad, let me back up. The wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the names of who? Why? Because the apostles were the heads. Y'all get it? The heads are the walls. They're the walls of the house. Because the wall is what keeps the house up. The wall is what protects the house. That's why even the Hebrew word ak is aleph het, which means a strong. Even the Hebrew word for ak is surrounded around being a wall. You see what I'm saying? And so when it comes to a blessing, Hebraically, the connotation is something that comes from the heads. That's why y'all remember. I know we're not in that Torah portion yet, but we went through the Torah portions enough. Y'all remember the situation with Jacob and Esau, and they were trying to get the blessing from who? Right, from Isaac, who is the head of house. We don't even understand these concepts. Because we don't move like that. We think we can buck against, be disrespectful to the heads because we don't agree. I don't agree with that. I agree with that. I don't agree with that though. I hear what you're saying, but I don't see it that way. And y'all can be any way we want with the head, and then still will be mad if we're not ascending like the other person over there who been submitted the whole year. Hold on. No, that's favoritism. How come, he doing all those things and I'm not? You see this person, they ascending ruachly and everything. They ascending. They ain't even been there as long as you. They all of a sudden, they coming out, they laying hands and everything, boy. They doing deliverance, man. They casting out ruachs. They laying hands on people and they just healed, boy. Oh man, my arm don't hurt no more. Oh man. And you sitting there mad at them. And you just, why am I not? Oh, what about me? Stuff like that. When it really boils down to you been rebellious the whole year, and you comparing yourself to someone who's been submitted the whole year. That's really all it boils down to. This is what I'm not saying. Hold on, let me clean this up. That does not mean that if you're not laying hands and healing people, that you did something wrong. I'm just using that as an example. That doesn't mean that if you're not out there casting out ruachs and somebody is, that it's because you're being rebellious. It doesn't mean that. But I'm just saying that there are instances many times, especially the people who get the most jealous. Those usually be the ones because they have rebellion in their heart. They haven't been receiving impartations because they have some sort of ought in their heart against the leader. They have some sort of feelings against, their heads. They're not really able to fully receive. They healing. They didn't really fully go through a ruka. Not able to really fully receive their 100-fold family. It'd be all kind of stuff like that going on. And that's the only reason why they're not ascending. That's not about favoritism. It's not. Y'all got to understand, that's Yahuwah who gives the ruachal gifts through the heads. I can't, push that on somebody if they're not receiving it. We're talking ruachal gifts, like being able to deliverance, healing, prophetic visions, prophetic insights, all those things like that. Y'all listen, man. For real, there's been times I lay hands on people and they all of a sudden is getting astonishing prophetic insights way more often than I get them. Yeah. Oh man, it was ever since you had laid hands, I'm just, man. I'm like, man, that's wild, because man, I don't even get it that much. Because they come from Yahuwah, but the blessings go through the heads, y'all. Yahuwah will give you that blessing if you receive his leaders, you know what I'm saying? Malek Musha talk about it all the time. He's like, man, it took me a lot to get this skill, man. I lay hands on people, man, they just all of a sudden visions. Like, man, all that fasting I had to do and all that work, lay hands on somebody and the next day. You know what I'm saying? But number one, look, if the head lays hands on you, number one, you gotta believe. How are you gonna receive what's the impartation that you don't even have believe? I didn't feel nothing. Oh well, you sure ain't gonna get nothing. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Because in church and this and that, and I just have this thing, and I mean, all right, but you ain't gonna get nothing out of it though. Yeah. That's how it works. That's why Jacob and Esau wanted to kill Yaakov, because he went through great lengths to receive that laying on of hands from the father, from Isaac, to receive the blessing, to receive the birthright. That's why the scriptures say literally, honor your mother and father, so that you'll live longer. Your days may be longer. Like, this is the ancient understanding of being submitted to your heads. Because the blessings come down through them, through the heads. And so anyway, with all that being said, Noah, he moved forward. He put the blessings, but then y'all saw that wickedness ended up being back on the earth again, because there was this man named Nimrod, and basically he had caused the marine kingdom to basically take dominion over the earth again. He went in covenant with the marine kingdom. And so what you saw in Genesis 11 was another genealogy now. Because the Most High did preserve his seed, even though Nimrod went as a mighty man on the earth, and he did a whole lot, and he conquered, and he tried to, cause to do this one world government and things like that. He tried to take over the world for the marine kingdom. Because this is what people do. They make covenants with the marine kingdom so they can get power, so they can get, it's basically like selling your soul. People do it every day today. They do. And so he thought he was going to have world dominion, and then next thing you know, you have this new lineage that's being laid out. It's Kodesh seed. It was in Genesis 11. It's Kodesh seed. Let's go there, and then we're going to end it here. It's the last thing, Genesis 11. We're going to go to the very end of Genesis 11. Because they were being so wicked, Yahuwah split up the languages. They tried to go on that card and build a tower to the Shamayim. You know what that is, right? It's like, okay, we really want access to the Shamayim. So we're going to try to come up with our own way to access the Shamayim. We're going to build this tower that'll go way up there. Yeah. Yeah, it was like, we're going to come up with our own way. We're going to be in that card and build this tower all the way up to the Shamayim. Now, we know that that happens today, too. Why do you think they're trying to go to space? Because the nations, they want access to the Shamayim. They're trying to go to the moon and stuff like that. A big part of it also was they know that judgment is coming, and they want to try to dodge it. You know what I'm saying? The Tower of Babel was an attempt to say, okay, we don't want to get flooded again. So what we're going to do, we're going to build this tower, and we're going to beat the Most High at his own game. Oh, snap, that's a great idea. We're going to trick Yahuwah. You know what? Ain't that crazy? They thought they could trick Yahuwah. But they doing it today, y'all. This is why. Y'all notice, it ain't too many, it wasn't. I'll just be honest. Black folks wasn't really worried about going to the moon. We just wasn't. That just wasn't something we cared about like that. We wasn't in Africa worried about going to no moon. I'm sorry, we wasn't worried about that. So why was the other nations so overly? I mean, billions of dollars. I mean, I remember back in the day, I used to be irritated. They spending all this billions of dollars on going to the moon. Why they worried about going out there? I mean, what is that gonna do? It's just like, okay, we're gonna go out there. They're gonna be able to say we went on the moon, And remember they had Neil Armstrong, man. He was a great man, and they showed him, and he was skipping. It was dust out there. Like, why are they worried about going out there? Billions of dollars? We talking billions and billions of dollars invested. They got all these people, man, that need help out here, man. The people need help in the streets, all these poor people and stuff. Worry about no moon. Nobody is going to invest that much money just to go walk on some dust and say we went to the moon. We gotta be smart. They know the scriptures. Look, the nations are in covenant with the marine kingdom. The marine king, like they are in covenant with the fallen ones. Y'all don't think the fallen ones know that Yahuwah's gonna judge them? He's gonna judge the earth. He's gonna judge them. So it's like, let me try to thwart this. We can figure out a way to dodge the judgment. It's the Tower of Babel all over again. So the Most High, he's like, okay, I got y'all. Y'all thought y'all gonna trick us, huh? Y'all thought y'all gonna trick me. All right. Boom, he split up the languages. So now they only have a way to be in that card. Yahuwah did that to us before too. When he scattered us out of Yasharel, y'all know all of Yasharel spoke the same language. We spoke Hebrew. We spoke Hebrew. We all could talk to each other. Now if we go to the Hebrews in West Africa, we can't talk to most of them because they speak different language. We go to the Hebrews in India and South India. We can't talk to them no more because they speak a different language. You go to the Hebrews scattered in South America, unless some of y'all know Spanish, but most of y'all don't. So y'all wouldn't be able to talk to them either. Yahuwah scattered. When Yahuwah scattered us, he divided our languages too. He did. It's the way to keep us from being in that card. But nevertheless, Bereshit chapter 11, let's start with verse let's start with verse 27.
Right, everybody there? This is the genealogy of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in his native land in Ur of the Chaldeans. Then Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. And the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah.
Iscah's probably Sarah, but we won't get into that right now. Verse 30.
But Sarai was barren. She had no child.
Now look at verse 31. This is interesting now. Let's read this.
And Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abram's wife. They went out with them from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan.
To go where?
Go to the land of Canaan.
So y'all see that Abraham's dad, Terah, was the first one to set out to go to Canaan. Y'all know that Abraham wasn't the first one who got the call to go to the promised land? But it was his dad who got the call to go to the promised land. And look what happened. Did he go to the promised land? Where do they go? Let's look.
They came to Haran and dwelt there.
They can't. So he was left to go to Canaan, but it says that they went to Haran and dwelt there, which is like maybe roughly about 1,000 miles away from Canaan. It was on the way to Canaan, but they stopped and he settled. Haran was on the way to Canaan, but he stopped at Haran instead of going all the way to Canaan. And so next to our portion next week, you're going to see they're chilling in Haran, and Yahuwah all of a sudden visits Abraham or Abram and says, I want you to go to Canaan. As a matter of fact, the Most High said, go and leave your father, leave your family, and go to Canaan. Because Terah, his father, didn't heed the call. So it passed down to him. That seed, y'all. And Abraham was the next Adam in a sense, because Yahuwah was going to start all over with Abraham. Yahuwah said, through your seed, all the nations will be blessed. But bless those who bless you, I'm going to curse those who curse you. And I'm going to do something with your seed. I want you to be fruitful and to multiply, because I'm going to cause your seed to basically be all over the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like all the nations will be blessed from your seed. All praise to the Most High.
All right, my bad. Go ahead.
Double honors mine up and honors to where they are due. Shalom, everyone. Peace and blessings. Quick question on reincarnation. If you can expound on that just a little bit more, it's kind of confusing because it's something that, I was taught out there that it was actually like Adam was like, or Yahusha was a reincarnation of Adam type thing. So I don't understand how it would not be, yeah, if that makes sense.
So people who believe in reincarnation, if you ever saw, well, I know you saw Moana. And you saw how her grandmother said she was going to turn into a stingray. So people who believe in reincarnation, they believe that their soul goes into an animal.
But
that's the majority view, is that your soul will go into some type of animal being. That's why he said butterfly or, a tree. But a ruach going into another person is not. Yes, it's more like a regeneration than like a reincarnation.
Yeah, so that's stupid though, that you brought that out, because I am familiar with the camps, a lot, not all the camps, but there are some camps that teach reincarnation. The way it's not the same as, it's the similarities, but so yeah, but what, like what you were bringing out as far as Yahusha maybe being Adam, that's, that could be a thing as far as him, because it does, there's scriptures that talk about him being the second Adam, stuff like that. I see what you're saying. Because he was kind of like, it was started all over with him as well once Yahusha came on the earth. But that's true, because Adam sinned. Yeah, that's a true point. But there is a scripture that say Yahusha's the second Adam. You know what I'm saying? So it's more like because they started all over with him. But yeah, Yahusha, he's in a category, just different. He's in a different category. So The sons of light follow Yahusha wherever he goes, though. You know, they're with Yahusha. Yahusha actually took part in the creation. He took part in the creation. He actually took part of bringing Adam on the earth. You see what I'm saying? Adam and Kawah. If you read Bereshit 1, I mean not Bereshit, but Yakanah, John 1, you know, and there's many other scriptures that Yahusha took part in the creation. He took part in creation. It says that there's one scripture that says all things were made like by him or for him or something like that. You know, so he's just in a different category than the sons of light. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people did think, I mean, it's not, a lot of people did think Yahusha was like one of the prophets or somebody, you know, and things like that. Because there is this thing with these sons of light coming back and forth throughout history. But really, yeah, if y'all read that whole passage, that was that was like the Pharisees, you know, that was the Israelites who were moving in the ways of the Pharisees and things like that. They didn't really know who Yahusha was. And then Kepha was like, nah, you Yahusha HaMashiach, the Messiah, the son of the living, you know, the son of Elua. And Yahusha was like, man, yeah, flesh and blood didn't reveal that to you. Everybody else was like, man, this is Elijah, this is one of the prophets, this is Yirmiyahu, Yakanah Yamersha, but it was revealed to those who it was revealed to. No. Because when they're saying this is Yahusha, this is the son of Elua, the Mashiach, it's saying, no, this is somebody way above even the prophets, way above Yirmiyahu and them. And what happens is in a lot of the camps, there's not a very strong stance on Yahusha. It's not. I'm not going to say that. I'm not even going to just point at the camps. In a lot of Yasharel period, there's a very weak, generally speaking, a very low stance on Yahusha. They'll be like, nah, we believe in Yahusha. Yeah, and it's true. They believe. But it's more looked at this great person, this great prophet, which he was, but he was more than that. See what I'm saying? So that goes into the, oh man, he's Adam, you know, things like that. You know, Adam sinned. You know, but Yamin just made a through point. You know, Adam was one of the sons of light, but just like, you know, all of the sons of light, we regular people though. Yahusha was more than that. You see what I'm saying? Regular people meaning, man, look, we done stuff, we done had to get a ruka from things, healing from things, we done, you know, we regular people. Yahusha was way more than that. Hallelujah. So, but the reincarnation thing is interesting because you have people, they'll come and they'll be self-proclaimed the reincarnated Elijah, you know, and things like that. You just got to be careful with that. Now, but let me say this though. Y'all hear me out though. There's reality to that. Not saying it to the people who are proclaiming that, but no, Elijah could very well be in one of these tribes, man. You got Eliyahu, man, over there in Augusta doing something, you know. Yirmiyahu could very well be here. See what I'm saying? Like, who knows who the Meleks are? I'm just saying, you just don't know. You just don't know because we eternal beings. You see what I'm saying? We don't know. We're sons of light. Who are you? You might be one of the ancients from the scriptures and don't even know it. Most High reveal it to you in the appointed time. Most High reveal it to you, and Most High might have already revealed who some of y'all are, and y'all just didn't know what it meant. And you had to kind of go back to some vision or some dream you had 2 years ago. It's like, oh snap. But anyway, through question though.
I was just going to say also reincarnation, it's like literally right after the person dies, they say that their soul goes into somebody else or something else. And it could be a human, an animal, or spiritual, depending on the moral quality or previous person's life's actions. And that's just not the same. Because it's not based off of somebody's previous life actions, whether they are able to come back, their spirit is able to enter in somebody else, or it's not the same. Because the spirit of, for instance, Elijah is what, you're a son of light. You can go to and fro. It's not saying that, right after Elijah died. So reincarnation means right after a person dies, they go into another person or another animal or something like that. And then they live out their life in that being. And then they die and they jump into something else. That's not what the scripture is talking about. Yeah, there's a difference between, like Yuri, I was saying, time travel, then somebody, then reincarnation. Whereas you die and you go into something based off of your moral character or how you lived your life or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a big deal there, because see, even the conversation yields itself to the fact that this was something that people believe, because when you look at certain religions, reincarnation was this thing. Like I was saying, and this is why it's just a huge point. She said, like for example, there's some writings that say, if you live a through life, you'll come back as a beautiful butterfly. However, if you don't, you'll come back as a dung beetle. Like, like who wants to be that? Yeah, all them cockroaches y'all had growing up. A giraffe, that would suck. A rat? Oh, I don't know what you did. But anyway, so that was the mindset in like some Eastern religions. And the scriptures are really, it's just like one of them fine lines. Maybe it's not as fine. It's definitely a line though. In the process, there's a line in how you process this. When you think about what Mushal was bringing out in terms of the sons of light, you really gotta see it in the light. Put on words, right? Get it? But you gotta see it in the light as descending and ascending, the going from the Shamayim and coming, because it's really based on mission. It's based on job. It's based on what your why Yahuwah has sent you here, versus this is just a course of life. When you die, you're immediately rebirthed as something like that. So it's just a little bit of a. You just got to be careful the way you process it. Okay, did that answer your question, Shashon?
I had it did. So when we pass on to, like when we pass here, are we back into the Shemaims after fulfilling our purpose here on the Arets? We're not going to come back down. I'm kind of the eternal, or the eternal, the sons of light. Does that make, like, yeah.
Yeah, Malek Yahusha talked about that. Yeah, he said that there was some that go into Abraham's bosom, and then he talks about how these sons of light, they return to the Father. And it's like these two different groups. He goes into it on, I think it's What's Next, the What's Next teaching. There's like 8 of them. I don't remember which one it was though, but you should just watch them all. Can't hurt. But yeah.
Toda.
I just have a quick comment. So I was thinking about, because of what Shoshone is saying, I was thinking about the word regeneration. And I don't know if Musha probably bring this out before, but I don't know. But just the word itself, because like the is like again or repeat. So it's like when you have this concept of the sons of light, it's like you coming again in another generation. Like you repeating, but in another generation. Not just like a time, but like a literal bloodline, like a generation, like this generation, like you coming again in another generation. So yeah.
Uriah said that's the thing about the Kodesh seeds. Everybody wasn't fit to have Kodesh seeds. I got you. Zamar, this is a great point. Zamar said Eliyahu actually never died and walked with Yahuwah. So it would make sense to the people to believe that Yehukanan the Immerser was Eliyahu. Yeah, that makes sense. But then some people thought that he was Yeshayahu, who clearly died. I believe he was beheaded. So it's still, they still believed in this concept Mushal was talking about. So Ima Oriya, he said Ephesians 3:20, which states, now to him who is now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. I love that verse, man. About regeneration. We can't know him only by what's in the book and contain him in a box. He's so much more. Isaiah 58:8-9. You going in, Yuma. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says Yahuwah. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Khan. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to skip the praise and worship visions. That's through Musho? Yeah. All right. Zamar, if the mighty men of the Bible are Malakim, then if they were sent down, could it be that they could have been the same person in different time periods? Absolutely. And then I said, Shama talked about this. So I said, Khan, there are historical writings that speak to all the animals being young. Hadassah, she said, Isha Hadassah. Hebrews 7 is a reference Bakir Yamin was referring to about Melchizedek. Khan, Todah Rabbi, Ezra. Radayahu, Adam was made on the 6th day. Noach was 600 years old when the flood came. Snap, yeah. Ima Orya, today it was said, let us be within and without with pitch, for the breaches to be sealed with it.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Out there praise and worship.
Uriel. It's like Yahuwah starting over with us too, which is why getting a Ruka, then bringing forth Kodesh seed and multiplying is what we have to do as a nation. In a sense, we are told to be fruitful, get your Ruka, and multiply, bring forth Kodesh seed. Yeah, that's it. And fill up the earth. And fill up the earth. Yeah, there's a lot there. Praise Yahushua though. Just real quick, I want to get some references for that question about Yahusha and Adam. It's Romans 4. That's where you can go and read. It says that Adam, or basically Yahusha, was a type of Adam. And then Colossians 1 is what Mushal was saying. It says how Yahusha is the firstborn of all creation. By him all things were created. Whether it be visible, invisible, power, dominion, throne, principle, was all created by him and for his kabod. So those are the references for those scriptures. It's definitely worth a conversation if y'all have questions, further questions. Romans 4, the chapter. I can't remember the verse. It's in Romans 4 though, and then Colossians chapter 1. right, we'll roll. Ima Oria, when he made the man, there's one more. It's okay. I'll come back to it. When he made the dry land to appear, the chaos of the water and what was living in the water was not to live on dry land. But the fallen ones found a way to corrupt it. They found a breach. Shama Yisrael, like the storms and the huge old trees being uprooted, and now Yahuwah getting ready to move forward in his plans. God, same thing he did in the wilderness. He's like, hey, look, if you're over 20, you just didn't make it. That's a supplication one. Imayasha put the definition for regeneration in here. Renewal or restoration of a bodily part of biological systems, such as a forest after injury or as a normal process. To change radically and for the better, to regenerate or produce anew, especially to replace a body part by a new growth of tissue. To produce again chemically, sometimes in physical change form, and to restore to original strength or properties.
Hallelujah. Go ahead and read alcohol extras to it. Looks like it's actually a comment.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes, sir. So during supplication, Yahuwah was speaking to me on comparison, how this order can't be compared to anything that's out there in the world. Our leadership have explained to us how this is the highest order. Oh, my goodness. And everything we do is going to be new to us, but it's not new to Yahuwah. We are manifesting the secret things, so looking to the church or any other experience outside of this order to try to understand it won't work. You just have to trust in what Yahuwah is doing.
Man, that's huge, yeah.
Just real quick on that. That is well said and so important to know, because this is where a lot of Hebrews, Israelites, the people who are quote unquote awake, I guess awake, they rely so heavily on the Torah. Now, we teach Torah, like we've been doing Torah cycles Mushal, you've been doing Torah cycles like 12 years or something like that, some crazy number. Oh, 12? 10 years. Oh, that's oh man. So going on 11 years then, 11 and a half. So with the Torah is through.
Yeah,
but
more like 8 or 9 years.
10, okay, 8 or 9 years, okay. So the Torah is through, but this is just what Akalesh was saying. When you read, I think it's Peter, how it says that, or no, maybe Timothy. It's Timothy. So Paul says that the Torah was created for sinners. Like when you read that a man is righteous, Malek Yahusha teaches on this, being righteous just means you somebody who followed the law. He talked about how Lot was righteous, even though at the end of his life he became wicked. Rebirth is for the Kodeshim. There's a difference between the righteous and the Kodesh. The Kodesh are those really of the sons of light, honestly. But they are those who are set apart to a certain thing, whereas the Torah was given as a guide to bring back and teach how to be righteous, to bring back what was lost. That's why Paul talks about this thing. He's like, for I want to be found in him, not having a righteousness that is according to the law, but a righteousness that is according to Emunah. Because there are things that the Kodesh, like Abram, Musha, Daoud, there are things that they do that in a way is greater than even the Torah. Like that's why Yahusha came. He was like, man, look, if you look at that, the Torah say you should not lust after a woman. But I tell you, whoever looks upon a woman with lust in his heart has already committed adultery. Like it supersedes and transcends the Torah. It doesn't collide or clash with the Torah. But this is how you know Dawood was the son of light. He put the whole ephod on out here. He should have been struck, but Yahuwah was like, nah, he got that. He can go and do that thing. So what Akalesh was saying, just to wrap it up, like there is a thing of the Torah. The Torah is like the minimum requirement to enter in. Like it's like saying that you have to take the SAT and pass.
Yeah, it's almost like with Torah, the Most High had oh no, you got a response to that? No, go ahead. No, you still.
And
that was the comparison Yahuwah was showing me. That's like a huge stumbling block for people. And like you said, we're setting the standard. The Maleks, the leadership, like that's the standard. It's never been done. So we are the foundation for everything.
Yeah. It had to start over. Somebody got to start it off. Somebody got to do it. To be the beginning of that, that replenishment. I mean, the reset. Yeah. But I just want to say that as far as the Torah, there's a lot of things that don't tell you how to do. Like the Torah don't tell you how to praise and worship. You just read scriptures and you'll see. And then, it'll just talk about this time when, Moshe's sister, I can't think of her name right now. I don't know why. Miriam started praising and worshiping. It don't tell you how to do it, how they did it. They don't tell you none of that. But the how comes through revelation. It's only going to come to his people. Do y'all know what would happen? That's why I believe the Most High did this. The Most High, I believe he did this on purpose. There are specific things he specifically didn't put in the word, in the Torah on purpose. Do you know what would have happened if Yahuwah put in there specifically how to worship and praise him? You would have had Czechoslovakians on there. You would have had all the nations would have took that. They would have ran with that. And it would have been all kind of perverted versions. What I mean perverted, I mean just twisted and not inaccurate versions and all kind of stuff. There's certain things Yahuwah has set apart through revelation to reveal that only his people are going to have. He's going to give to the Kodashim of Yasharel so that we can be the light to show the nations how to do it. Otherwise, man, the nations, boy, they would have been taking that and they would have been saying, this is what's been given to us to do, to show y'all how to do it. We came down here to show y'all black folks how to worship according to the scriptures. Like, for real. And we would have been, the Most High, that's what's so amazing. It's going to be evident who he's with because the Kodesh things has been revealed to this people. It's going to be clear that, man, these are the people of the Most High because, man, all these things has been revealed to them. Like, a lot of people, man, you just start looking at the teachings. You just start looking at the teachings from the Maleks and stuff, and you're like, oh, snap. How in the world? When I first started, y'all, I was 100% teaching just straight off of research. Just research. Hold on, man. Let me study the concordance. Let me look at the lexicon. The Strong's number. And all those things are through. But when it comes to teaching, and this is what I got this from just from observing the Melikim and just from being in prayer, man, when the Most High just starts actually giving you revelation. Not from your research. Now, you're supposed to read. I'm saying I'm not against research. You're supposed to research. But when you're 100% dependent on research and without no revelation, yeah, you're going to miss a whole lot of stuff. But see, there's teachings on the Rebirth ATX page that you will not find nowhere because it came from the Most High. It came through revelation. You're going to go on the Hebrew Nation building page. You're going to see multiple teachings from the Melikim, Melech Musha. Melech Yahusha took down a lot of the most powerful ones, but they still got a lot of powerful ones up there. But the point is, you're not going to find nobody. They didn't research their way to that understanding. This was stuff that was given to them from the Most High through revelation. You get a vision one day and be like, oh, snap. You know what I'm saying? And go and pray on it like, oh, man. And, he was bringing this out. He was talking about this stuff. I was like, man, that's wild, And then after the revelation came, then you go look in the scriptures, and you're like, oh, snap, this is all throughout the scriptures. That's what this is about, the Melchizedek order, Isaiah 60, things like that. The prophets talked about it, so on and so forth. So I say all that to say that, man, like, before I made it, I ain't know nobody who was moving like that. I was in Israel for a long time, and you were right. It was about 10 years. I've been doing the Torah portions, because I was doing the Torah portions before Rebirth for about 3 years. So that's a through point. And let me tell you, this is what most people do. They just do a lot of research. Let me look at what this scholar said, man. This ancient, Pharisee in the Talmud. They call them sages. Let me look in the lexicon. Let me research what this biblical scholar said. Let's look at a commentary, and that's how you get all your revelation, through philosophical studies. You know what I'm saying? I just want y'all to keep that in mind and not to take that for granted, not to take that as common, because that's just major, y'all. That's just major. So told out to Yahuwah and Yahusha.
So this is the Ruach, man. This is the Ruach, because when you look at Levi, who gave the Torah to the people? What tribe? Oh, okay, must be late. All right. Huh? I know, I did. It's all right. Huh? Who gave the Torah to the people? What tribe was it? Levi. So I'll be quick because I know it's getting late, man. But Levi was the group of people, the tribe that gave the Torah to the people. But the Torah was used to make people righteous, but just to show the importance of understanding the order of Melchizedek and the sons of light that Mushal was bringing out, those who had no end or beginning, Melchizedek was greater than Levi. Because I had made a comment earlier about how it transcends the Torah, and if you're that could be offensive, but I just want to prove it with the scriptures, because Melchizedek, it's how you say it. In Hebrew, it's Melchizedek. Which is Melchi is king, Sedek is righteous. He says that he was king and priest. Go to Bereshit 14. I think it's 15. But it says that he was king and priest. So Levi, being in the loins of Abraham, came to him. So the order of Melchizedek is greater than that of the Torah. But that does not mean that it conflicts or clashes with the Torah. But I'm just showing how important it is to recognize where you are in time, where you are in the string of history, what rebirth is actually doing, who rebirth actually is, who the Melachim actually are. It's the order of Melchizedek. Melech Yahusha, I got a whole teaching on this. The order of Melchizedek, the order of the lion, the order of the sons of lights, all these things, I'll just leave it at that.
All praise to the Most High.
I think we have one more. Bakir Luf. Okay, a few more. Noah was 500 years old when he begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Can you imagine being 500 years old, still being fruitful and multiplying? Nope. Woo, can you imagine that? Musa Ahmed said, also goes back to 50 Jubilee in reference to Bakir Luf's comment. And then Bakir Ezra Hadassah, this is it. Deuteronomy 29:29, the secret things belong to Yahuwah or Alua, but those things which are revealed belong to us and our children forever, that we may all do the words of this law.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, and see, the Torah is the foundation. That's what Bakir Yamin was saying. It's the foundation. Like, we should know by this time not to lie to our brother, not to steal, not to commit adultery. That's Torah. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, it's about, once you have that down, now it's time to move on to the next level. You can't just make that the end all be all. Well, look, man, I ain't killed nobody. I'm through, But all praise to the Most High.
All right, that's it. I'm going to put the scripture for Timothy where Paul talks about the law being for the wicked, basically, and the law is for the sinner.
But yeah, this is a through conversation. Hopefully we can have more of this.
All praise to the Most High. And also, those in the culture class, we want to go ahead and get y'all in the back.
Rebirth of a nation. Hebrew kingdom building.